Okay, we'll go ahead and begin. Welcome all. My name is Sal Gonzalez. I'm the Director of Community Outreach here at the San Gabriel County Regional Center. And I'm going to pass it to our emergency safety personnel.
Hi, I'm Karen Zarcidezige. I'm the communications manager for the Los Angeles County Fire Department. And I'm here as obviously part of the fire department, but also as a member of the board of directors here at the regional center, as I do have a son who is a client. So I'm proud to be part of this panel today, sharing our perspective. To my right, to my left.
My name is Clayton Kazan. I'm an emergency physician and the medical director for the LA County Fire Department.
Cheech Hasagawa. I'm the community risk reduction captain and public education for the Los Angeles County Fire Department.
On screen, we have Deputy Fire Chief Eleni Pappas.
Yes, good morning. I'm Deputy Fire Chief Eleni Pappas. I'm in charge of our Special Services Bureau, which is Dispatch Center, our fleet and our construction and maintenance. And I also have a autistic special needs older sister.
So I think how we'll begin this actually is we do have the Pomona Police Department here, Sergeant Paulson, and as well as Deputy Molina here from the LA Sheriff's Department. We're going to start with our presentation first because we actually have more of a PowerPoint to present, and then allow everyone to participate in the discussion as we go further along. So we'll begin with Chief Pappas, who can give an overview of our department. And if we can begin with that PowerPoint. And go ahead, Chief Pappas.
Well, wonderful. Well, the Los Angeles County Fire Department actually has jurisdiction over 60 cities. Some of them incorporated, some of them unincorporated. We protect the lives and property of over 4 million residents that live amongst those 60 cities and unincorporated areas. And we also have the city of La Habra, which is in Orange County. We have over 5,000 personnel, and that includes dispatchers, lifeguards, firefighters, paramedics, nurses, medical doctors, pharmacists, and a very talented and wonderful professional staff that helps run the fire department and the day-to-day operations, runs the backside of it, and also supports the men and women that are on the front lines. To just give you an idea of how busy we are, last year we responded to 403,000 calls for service. So we are averaging a dispatch of about 13 to 1,500 calls a day. So we're very, very busy fire department. We are the third largest fire department in the nation. And as you can understand from all those statistics, we see all kinds of residents and all kinds of people that need our assistance. And that's a broad overview of the fire department. Thank you, Karen.
Okay, can you go to the next slide? Okay, so as the department's medical director, I oversee all the medical operations within the department, from dispatch all the way through to hands-on with our paramedics, and then to quality improvement on the back end. So I wanted to point out that in our primary training for both EMTs and paramedics, their special populations is part of the primary training. It's a fairly limited amount, and we're looking to expand that. But the special populations that we work with are geriatric, pediatric, people with disabilities, and other special needs. Can you advance? So as an example, with autism spectrum, advance again, please. One of the great programs, and I've many thanks to Karen on my right here, for bringing together the Sirens of Silence. And I'll let her go into more detail on it, but that was something that she brought to us about 1.5 years ago. We reviewed the education, completely agree with her that this is something that all of our paramedics need to see, but not just our paramedics, all paramedics in the county. So we shared it over to our regulatory agency, which is the Los Angeles County EMS agency, and it became mandatory training for all paramedics in 2021. It is absolutely an outstanding educational piece. Next, please. And another thing that we've identified recently, and we just launched a pilot project, is on language barriers. So in August of 2022, we started a department-wide pilot that enables us to bring a video interpreter up on the tablets that we're using to document on all of our EMS calls, so that we can actually in real time communicate with the patient. And the interpreter can also see their body language. And the other great thing about video interpretation is it includes sign language. So patients that are hearing impaired can now communicate directly into the tablet in sign language if none of the firefighters on scene are fluent. And there are more than 100 languages spoken in Los Angeles County. This, I think, gets us about 23 languages for right now, but it's a huge step forward. And as far as we know, we are the first agency in California to pilot this. We're hoping that connectivity and everything else allows it to be successful. And so we're just in that pilot phase. But if it's successful, we're hoping to spread it to other departments around the region. All right, that should be it for me.
So how we prepare not only for our family members, but for those that are in the house and as well as first responders. So if you could go to the next slide. So what we do is we try to ensure we go over the safety themes, and that's what Dr. Kazan had mentioned, not only through our EMS, but that's one of the biggest things that we do for ourselves. So since safety is important, not only to the family, but those that have individuals that with sensory sensitivities. So we try to teach those to store their smoke detectors and their carbon monoxide alarms. We also tell them about our fire program. Our fire is family rapid instruction for rapid escape. So that's one of the things that we tell them, and it provides an escape plan for those family members. And we also tell them the practices. We also advise them to take our CERT or our LISOS program. That's something that talks about community education and emergency preparedness. And these are a lot of teams that can, these are a lot of programs that can be found on fire.lacounty.gov. But one of the things, going back to Sirens of Silence, that we also do is that after we adopted this not only educated and gave us awareness through our EMS Bureau for first responders, but there's also events out there that's offered to the families. The reason why these events are important is because as first responders, a lot of times we come in uniforms and it can be intimidating to those that have sensory sensitivity. So this gives us an opportunity to talk to the family members. We can find out what is the best way to approach these individuals. Also, it gives the individuals or family members an opportunity to see us so they're not intimidated or scared. The last thing we have are safety related items. So one of the things that we have in our hands, or you probably can't see from here, is a seatbelt cover. Well, that seatbelt cover is designed to identify those in the car that may have sensory sensitivity. So a lot of times, either law enforcement or fire will arrive on scene. And rather than categorize it as something going on, this gives us an opportunity to identify that there's possibly someone in this car that has some sort of sensory sensitivity. So these are just many of the public education that we offer to the family members. And as I mentioned earlier, if you want to check out more information, feel free to check out our website. It's fire.lacounty.gov.
For me, having a family member with special needs, this program, on our website, you'll find a lot of resources, ways to communicate with those who are challenged with communicating. My information is on the screen, as you can see. If Captain Hasegauer can send me this. This is a sign that I downloaded off of our website that we created. And this is actually in my front window at home. This lets our first responders know that someone in the home has special needs. We also have stickers that you can put in your home windows, also on your car. We have other types of safety related items that Captain Hasegawa mentioned that are available at our local county fire stations, as well as by request, if you would like. I could also send some over here to the regional center. So if any families would like those, individuals would like those items, we can send those over. I also wanted to send over to you through the chat, if it's possible, that PDF that has the safety related tips and also just some advice on keeping your home and your family and your loved ones safe. Captain Hasegawa mentioned some of those programs that we have in place, as well as some of the other tips that would help you as far as maybe your family member has a sensory sensitivity to sound. Maybe instead of having a smoke detector and a fire alarm that just rings off sounds, maybe something that would also have lights that would alert that person that there's something going on in the home that they must leave. Maybe getting them acclimated, maybe getting them familiar with first responders. This is something that we do at our home, that we drive by the fire station, that we personally say hello to the deputies and to the police officers, that we get our loved one familiar with what the role of a community helper is and who that person in uniform is, and that they're there to help. A lot of times it's just that building familiarity, and that's really what's important for my loved one. And we get the whole family involved. We drive by, we say hello, we see something on television, we talk about it. We have books, we have pictures, we build it into our IEP, we build that into our IPP with our service coordinator. We also build that into our everyday storytelling. So just some tips on my end as both working for a first responder agency as well as having a family member with a special need. So those are just some tips for me.
Good morning. Name's Sergeant Molina from the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department Mental Evaluation Team. A little bit about us. We were started in 1992 with 5 teams partnered up with Department of Mental Health for clinicians to respond and assist patrol for families or people that are going through crisis out in the field and including in the school. As of 2022, we have 46 teams countywide. We assist other outside agencies, whether it be California Highway Patrol, other police departments, probation, and in regards to dealing with people with mental illness or people with going through a crisis. Our specialized units, we have roughly 700 hours of training dealing with hostage negotiation, crisis negotiation, and things like that better assist patrol and have them flag a certain needs that are met in patrol. Another thing that we started as of last year is a special alert program. That's a program that flags your address or your loved ones that has any developmental disabilities or any cognitive disabilities that you need to be aware of if there were to be any police response to your house. Now, the way that works is if you go on to lasd.org and in the top right-hand corner, type in special alert, and there should be an online program. I recommend doing that in Google Chrome to fill that out. Or you can go to your local sheriff's station and fill out the special alert program on by hand. That way, this flags your address or your loved one, so we have better information prior to responding to your house. Again, it's a special alert program that we're trying to push off. Again, it covers all type of areas that you might want to give police a heads up prior to them responding to your house.
The Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department has developed a new program to better serve individuals with disabilities when they are in crisis. The Special Alert Program allows family members and caregivers of individuals with cognitive or behavioral differences to voluntarily provide that information to their local sheriff's station. If deputies receive a call for service to a participating individual's address, any information provided by the family or caregiver will immediately show up on their computer screen. This information could include if the individual has a diagnosis, what types of things might frighten them or cause them to react negatively, and any history of encounters with law enforcement. Sheriff's deputies often respond to crisis calls during some of the most difficult moments of a person's life. When deputies have critical information before they arrive, they can call for additional resources, such as our mental evaluation team, to help de-escalate the situation. So if you have a loved one with special needs who would benefit from this program, download the one-page form today and return it in person to your local sheriff station.
Good morning. I'm Sergeant Paulson with the Pomona Police Department, and I supervise our quality of life unit, which also encompasses our mental health evaluation unit. We currently have 2 full-time teams that work in the city of Pomona, partnered with the Department of Mental Health clinicians. In addition, though, we also emphasize the training and the outreach in the city with our patrol officers as well. That's something that we've really branched into. I think the most important thing I wanted to share today, also having a family member with special needs, a family member who is a client here at Regional Center. The biggest thing that we can ask for from the community is communication. If you're calling 911, if you're calling dispatch, whether you're asking for police or fire, the more information you can give us prior to us getting there will alter the way that we respond. Unlike fire, some of our tactics are not as flexible. We do have to do things a certain way, not just for legal requirements, but for the safety side of it as well. But we can be as flexible as possible if we know that we're going to be a trigger to someone. And it will definitely change the way we approach a situation. So the communication for us is key. When you're on the phone with our dispatchers, give us all the information you can. And if you can have somebody outside to meet the officers or the EMS personnel before they come inside, that helps us as well, because it will change the way we approach the situation.
Just to add to what Sergeant Paulson was saying, I think when you call 911, and Chief Pappas can attest to this as well, is adding that information is really important to what the sensitivities are, whether that's light or sound, and also maybe adding like names that you would call this person so there's a familiarity, maybe their hiding spaces, whatever their favored items are, or if there's a way to allow a person to communicate with that person by phone, if it was mom or dad or whoever, just a way to build that familiarity as well as that trust between the individual and the first responder.
Yes, I would like to add to that. Thank you so much, Karen, for bringing that up. So if you're going to call 911, the first person that you will contact on the other end of the phone is one of our highly trained dispatchers. And they are typing as you are talking. So as you're describing your 911 emergency, the dispatchers will be asking you very important questions like, where do you live? What's the best contact number? What is happening to the person you're calling for? And the more, and just like Karen said, the more information you can give, the better. And the dispatcher is typing all of this on a computer screen. And on every fire engine and every paramedic squad, we have computer screens. So everything that the dispatcher is typing from the information that you give us, all of that information is coming across the screen to the firefighters that will be coming to your home. So they're reading it as they're en route to your home or the address that you'd like us to go to. So they will have that information. So the more information that you can calmly and clearly get to our dispatchers, that information will get to our firefighters before they arrive at the door.
Oh, and to echo off of the words of Chief Pappas, as a first responder, as the station captain, they'll now relate to their crews the best tactics to approach, because if there are individuals that has a sensitivity to sirens or lights, we may turn our lights or our sirens off as we approach, as we get closer to the call. So as Chief Pappas mentioned, the more information that you give, also Sergeant Paulson mentioned, the more information he gives us, it gives us a better idea of tactic, and it may even allow us the opportunity to slow our process down so that we can approach it in a safer manner for you guys.
Well, first and foremost, I do want to thank our first responders that are here today. That was just amazing information, and as you could listen to what they each spoke about, and they spoke about a lot of that person-centered, prepare us for these calls, making sure that they're willing to even turn down the sirens as they're approaching your home. You heard from our LA County sheriffs in regards to just putting that information in through the website really supports us, and those are things that we want to make sure that we collaborate. Sergeant Paulson talked about the communication factor. So these are all things that really kind of, it's music to our ears, because one of the things that we do is write individual program plans. So through these individual program plans, we could definitely work with our service coordinators or our therapists out in the community to make sure that we not only, if we want to create full inclusion, we want to make sure that we support them in every which way. So from the bottom of our hearts, here at San Gabriel Pomona Regional Center, we thank you all. And this is a great segment for us to open it up to you as the community to be able to ask questions. I know we do have a couple questions throughout the Q&A. but we will actually go to the hands raised, and Edwin would actually highlight you to ask our panelists any questions you might have. So again, we'll pass it on to Edwin.
I'm gonna go ahead and start with Michelle C. You're gonna be allowed to talk. Go ahead, Michelle, with your question. Can you unmute yourself? Okay, I'm gonna go ahead to Nora Perez. Now I go ahead and choose Vanessa CT. Please unmute yourself when I call on you.
Sí, buenos días.
Buenos días.
Yo tengo una pregunta. Estaban hablando de las calcamonías que se podían obtener en la estación de bomberos. ¿Solo en la estación de bomberos o se pueden también obtener en la estación de policía?
She's asking with regards to the decal, whether we have access. You mentioned the fire department, but does the police department have something similar?
These are available to anyone, and really they're just, I guess they're universal, a universal way. We have a different version that I can leave that is actually much more self-identifying, if that's the best way to say it. Basically tells you that there is a person with special needs, whether in the home or in the car. I can leave those here at the Regional Center for families to obtain.
The Pomona Police Department does not specifically have our own. We just typically rely on the Sirens of Silence stickers provided by LA County Fire.
Yeah, the mental evaluation team has some similar stickers for people that are, I guess, clients for our high utilizers of people that have a lot of intensive care that we're trying to link them with services. However, like the generic stuff, we would have to hit up the fire department for those decals.
Next, Patricia Leyva, go ahead.
Hi, good morning, everyone. My name is Patricia, and I'm with the Epilepsy Foundation. I want to thank everyone on the panel for being here. This information has been great, but I do have a question. So we know that epilepsy is very common in our community. What current protocols do you have in place when responding to, let's say, a non-convulsive seizure? Where a person may appear, to be like in a trance-like state or intoxicated or drugged or possibly aggressive. Has the police department been trained on what symptoms to look for and how to respond?
Yeah, we put on courses to deal with that type of epilepsy, autism awareness. So we try to put in station briefings throughout Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department individual stations to basically do in-service and like a refresher course for certain cognitive disabilities or some mental disabilities to be aware of. So yes, we do have training or awareness of that.
Yeah, and to piggyback on that, it is actually a requirement in the Basic Police Academy. Every police officer gets a minimum of 15 hours of training specific to persons with special needs. For exactly that scenario, to make sure we can identify someone who is suffering from a medical condition rather than under the influence or something like that. And then again, we also provide in-house training regularly, usually 3 to 4 times a year, covering specific topics such as that.
Thank you.
So we also train our paramedics to be on the lookout for non-convulsive seizures. And then we have treatment protocols for all seizures, whether convulsive or non-convulsive, to treat them in the field.
Thank you.
Yes,
It's
and
just we've had so many incidents with the focal impaired awareness seizures in our community with police departments that, I just want to make sure that they're safe and that the police are aware that there's more than 20 different types of seizures. So, but thank you for confirming that.
Yes, Miss Leyva, thank you so much. That's you just bring up a really good point. As our medical director said, those are challenging calls for us because sometimes a non-convulsive seizure, when that person is what we call altered,
Yes.
but they're not convulsing. And I applaud you for having I can tell you have an incredible amount of knowledge of that condition, and I applaud you for that. And it just takes us it takes us a little bit of time when we get on scene to figure all that out, because we have to go through all of these, for lack of a better word, diagnostic processes. We have to check the blood sugar levels. We have to talk to the family member that's there with that person. And we have to try to figure out what all of that is. We got to get the history. So sometimes, we want to be able to approach it very methodically when our paramedics get on scene, and our training is very good. Our medical direction, especially from Dr. Kazan, is outstanding. But sometimes if it looks like we're just taking too long, just remember we're trying to process everything too, so we can do the best possible treatment for the patient. But you brought up such a great point, and I wanted to thank you for that.
Okay, next we're gonna have Lorena Cortez. Please unmute yourself.
Hola, buen día a todos. Mi pregunta es acerca de, por ejemplo, si tienen los policías o los bomberos un programa para asistir a las escuelas. Yo sé que por lo regular en educación especial casi nunca se promueve mucho, y me gustaría como ver esa parte de conexión, donde los niños vieran también que va el camión o la patrulla y pueden tocarlo y sientan esa conexión de que sí, nosotros les hablamos en la casa de los policías y todo eso, pero que también vean que la escuela está promoviendo eso y ellos creen una conexión y se sientan familiarizados.
Okay. I'm not a translator by nature. I'm gonna try to translate as much as I can. Do you have a partnership with local school districts with regards to like what you presented today, and just maybe doing some of the same events, typically desensitizing our community specifically, or working with local school districts?
Yeah, we try to have a school resource deputy for various schools within our jurisdiction, depending on the station's budget needs. However, we do brief schools regularly on how to call us in regard to a response or a crisis call. For non-crisis calls, or people like, say, students are having suicidal thoughts or ideations, we typically tell them to have them call Department of Mental Health, PMRT, which is like their psychiatric mobile response team. However, if it was an emergent for like active suicidal behaviors or things of like that nature, where this individual is manic, we would respond to that as a crisis call and assist the patrol and the school resource deputy.
Hi, thank you for your question. For us here at the fire department, we actually have partnered with the regional center to also partner with our public safety partners. In spring, we had our first event here, our first annual, and that was a special day with first responders. That was with the Sheriff's Department and the Pomona Police Department, as well as our CHP community, the care ambulance. It was a care ambulance as well. And other first responders that are on the front lines that work with individuals with special needs families, such as all of yours. So those events and other smaller ones that we do with other requesters throughout the community, throughout Los Angeles County, because our jurisdiction is quite large, 2,300 square miles. So our fire stations work intimately with different groups, with different school groups, with different community groups. And as I said, we have this one large event every year with the regional center next spring during Autism Awareness and Acceptance Month, which is April. And that would bring together all of the public safety agencies together to kind of bring that familiarity, build that relationship with first responders and your families. And I'll pass it on to Captain Hasegawa as well.
Thank you.
So Ms. Cortez, what you mentioned earlier, that's one of my main responsibility is the community outreach. So these programs that we come across, these public educations, my job is to work with our local agencies, not only just within Los Angeles County Fire Department, but the departments that have their own respective fire departments. We bring those information to them as well so that we can force multiply, if you will, and we try to educate the community of the things that we have. Obviously, because we're large, one of the biggest things is communication from you guys, and as well communication on our end. So to let people know that this is a wonderful program, but this isn't the only program that we have. We also have a community emergency response team, close before you doze, sidewalk CPR, all these things. So that's one of my main responsibility, is to go out there and educate the public, to let them know these are opportunities that we have for them.
Yes, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Es really important. Como dicen ellos, es bien importante tener el contacto y explicar todas esas cosas que nuestros hijos tienen y habilidades diferentes. Es extraordinario escuchar eso y poder tener ese recurso. Gracias.
Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and move on to Judy Bishop. Please unmute yourself.
Hello. All of these programs sound wonderful. Thank you very much. My question or comments are more geared towards my children are now adults. They are 18, and so they are out in the community more. My son is going to Mount SAC, so there's a lot more opportunity where they will not be with a parent or a caregiver who could explain things to a law enforcement officer or a first responder. So I guess my question is, are these programs rolled out to the smaller, like city police departments versus the large, like LAPD, that kind of thing? I was recently in a forum with the security officers for USC because they're rolling out a new program. And it was a very good give and take of what we as parents can teach our adult children, and also giving them kind of things to look for. For example, my kids have autism, that's their disability, so they may not respond to commands, they may not follow instructions, they may try to hide their hands because they're kind of trying to curl into themselves, like as a self-defense mechanism. All of those things, I'm sure, as a police officer, are going to put you on high alert. And so that's kind of more my concern as a parent of adult children. Or anyway, what we can do to work together with our local police departments to ensure safety.
Yeah, so I'd probably be the best to answer that. We do work very closely with all of our partnering agencies as well. So we border with the LA County Sheriff's Department, but also with Claremont, Laverne, Chino, Montclair, Ontario. We all have a program of some sort. Some are more advanced than others. And Pomona having the largest and the most advanced mental health program and training, we do provide that to our neighboring agencies as well. We also work with Cal Poly Pomona PD, the staff at Western University. So the intent is to get the information out to everyone in any way that we can, whether it's through the police department or the fire department, the hospitals. There's really nothing that prevents us from crossing all those boundaries when it comes to sharing this information. So we all do have programs. I can't speak for every single small agency in the county, whether or not they have a program going. I will say, if they don't have one now, the vast majority of them are building those programs because they're seeing the success that those of us who have them are having with the programs. So you're seeing this growing at a very fast pace.
And just to reassure, we have a substation like a mile away from Mount SAC. So we work well with the Mount SAC PD, and it's also patrolled by Walnut Sheriff's Department. So we've worked out and we've had quite a few seminars with Mount SAC in regards to students with mental illness or some type of disability.
And just to echo what Sergeant Paulson was saying, it's just the awareness, talking about it, sharing it amongst agencies. Doesn't matter who has the program. I feel like if you don't have a program, you must be living under a rock somewhere, because I feel like it's just out there. It's in the mainstream. The topics are on television shows. They're in the headlines. We talk about special needs individuals and families loved ones everywhere. So if there's not a program in place, then I highly suggest someone go to their local public safety agency and talk about that. But for the most part, I believe that just having these types of events, seeing the awareness out there, not just with the regional center, but also just different organizations, it's out there. So I feel like it's now is the time. It's trending. It's being mostly talked about, and I think that again, if you don't have a program, come talk to one of us because we'll put one in place.
Thank you
not
very
just
much.
whether or not you have a program, but I think the leaders in these communities and these smaller agencies are realizing that these programs need to have a much higher priority than they have in the past. And I think that's what we're starting to see, that trend.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate you even just taking the time to put this forum out so that parents can get information and feel reassured that these programs exist.
Okay, Edwin, can you read off some of the questions?
Yes, I'll go ahead and start. There's no more hand raising. Let's see. We're gonna go ahead. I'm gonna go ahead and start with the English. There's some of those. Does every police department use a special alert form?
I can't speak for every police department. However, whatever jurisdiction you live in, I ask you that you inquire. Most departments have some type of flagging system in regards to that. Our model, we're trying to push more geared towards the optics of special needs. But yeah, just wherever police department you're in, inquire, see what type of program where it comes to address flagging.
Yeah, I can tell you that Pomona Police Department just recently rolled out a brand new record management system in July of this year. And the new system does have that capability. So we will be rolling out a formal program similar to what the Sheriff's Department has in the very near future. Some of the older systems may not have the capabilities, but we can get creative and figure out ways to make sure that we have that information out there.
A little happy story in regards to a special alert program. Last month, we had an incident over in the county area of East LA where a individual saw his neighbor peeking into his back room where he was having a party. So there was a disco ball going on and there was a lot of lights and stimulus. He called in 911 saying someone's trying to break into his house. However, he knew that individual by name and address. He said, so-and-so living at this address across the street is trying to break into my house. Dispatcher looks up the call, finds out that this individual has autism and he has a lot of fascination with shiny objects and bright lights. So that information was passed on to the patrol deputies as they're responding code 3, thinking it's a burglary and now process. So that was able to put out that information prior to them responding. So they kind of changed their tactics and the way they handled the situation.
Okay, next question from Wendy Lai. Are the residential care facilities that are regional center vendors required to file the special alert? Maybe a question for us though. Do we want to answer that? Maybe direct them back to Lucina.
Can you repeat it again?
Wendy Lai asks, are the residential care facilities that are regional center vendors required to file special alert?
Yeah. Well, we'll meet with our director of community resources and find out what's the regulations for our licensed facilities, and we'll respond back to you, Wendy.
Yeah, I'm not sure if they're required, but we have a lot of care facilities. There's one in Norwalk that uses this frequently. They'll give us the generic address with the room number. Yeah, so a lot of these programs, a lot of these group homes and transitional living houses are using us. We just got to get the word out more.
I don't think there would be a requirement, but I think it would be best practice to do so. I mean, it wouldn't hurt at all to go ahead and do that. But we'll definitely follow up with Lucina to see if it is a requirement specifically. Penny Fody is asking, thank you for the special alerts program. However, is this information connected to local police departments? And if not, is there something in place Or how do we approach the local PD? I think it's similar to a previously asked question. I don't know if you want to expand on that.
Yeah,
Can you repeat the
like we
question?
said earlier, every local police department's going to have their own rules and policies and their own abilities, whether or not they have that program. All we can recommend is reach out to your local agency and see what they have available. And it may be something that they're going to want to implement once they know it's out there.
Okay, Penny Fody asked another question. How much of the training on autism spectrum disorders include the most severe level of autism, i.e., for example, nonverbal, non-responsive, and no method of communication?
How many hours we do on training? We try to do a refresher, like a 4-hour block for every station every year in regards to autism awareness. We have a specific class we put in. We bring in individuals that are nonverbal all the way from high functioning, and just to kind of to gauge their reaction, just have hands-on training that way. We also have a Milo simulator that deals with interactive play with people with disabilities, that we get a little firsthand experience through training. But typically we try to do a refresher course, which is a 4 to 8 hour block for every station per year.
Thank you. So with the fire department, we also created a training module, as Dr. Kazan had mentioned before, that is rolled out to all of the medics throughout the county through Department of Health Services. And with that module, that particular training was created for and by parents who are also firefighters, who also have children with special needs, adult and children alike. So that is also becomes a refresher course every year. Part of the Sirens of Silence program is not just the training and the resources and the materials. If you go to our website, you will see our page dedicated to all of the resources that are free and downloadable by not just caregivers, but also those who are service providers as well. Anyone in the community, if you are challenged with communicating with someone, whether that is a communications challenge because of something like autism, or maybe a medical condition like dementia or stroke, there are feelings boards. There's also a storyboard to explain what is happening when a firefighter or first responder comes to your home and needs to attend to a medical issue. They can, show them through picture what is happening. There are not just the myriad of resources, but there's also those events that we hold. Those events are really critical to building that bridge and creating that trust and having that familiarity with first responders. When we are able to bring our loved ones out, whether that's at the station, when some people are not able to come out to the stations because of the sensory sensitivities to light and sound, where there is a lot of that at the stations, then we bring that to a welcoming environment such as the regional center or any regional center in the area. We build those trusts and that communication and that type of a relationship by bringing the first responders out to a situation like here, an event like here, and having our first responders meet with people and families one-to-one. Show them how the apparatus feels, to allow them to touch it, let them see what it's like to have their heartbeat listened to, see what it's like on a step-by-step, very calming, sensory sensitive manner. Those kinds of events are very important to build that relationship between families and first responders. So I find that the trainings are great, but the one-to-one is really important. Allowing that type of rapport to build is important.
And to add to that, I really encourage the special needs friendly event. I'll give an example. One of my coworkers who has a child that has sensory sensitivity, he was telling us that how just as simple as a vacuum cleaner, when his child's in the house, he has to go a separate place and they have to vacuum and they have to move the child in different areas. And the reason why I say that's important, because although I have no one in my family currently, I would have never known something as simple as a vacuum cleaner, a noise like that would alarm someone. So when we go on calls, usually we have radios on because we're listening to other things as well, not just the family, but we're also we have other things going on. So something like that caution me now that if we come across someone that just something as simple as that, just noise of that level, they may not be by a fire engine, but we carry radios with us all the time. Sometimes our monitors make noise and whatnot. So just to realize how we have to be careful with sounds is something that the only way we're going to know is if you tell us. So to echo Karen's words, we encourage you guys to go out there. So the more that we're informed for those that don't have family members, that's the better we can come into the calls better prepared.
Okay. So we have approached the 11 a.m. mark, but I do want to thank you all. I want to thank Sergeant Paulson from the Pomona PD, Chief Pappas, who's with us virtually, Dr. Kazan and Karen, and also Sergeant Molina from LA County Sheriff. And as Karen or Captain Hasegawa. But as Karen mentioned that, we did have our first responders training here at San Gabriel Pomona Regional Center. And what we did was, it was just an amazing event where we had all the first responders, we had communities, parents, residential providers come, and they were actually able to not only touch the trucks, get on the trucks, see the ladders being raised, but that's a form of desensitization for us. And the important part of this is that we're going to continue to work in this partnership with all these first responders and continue to make sure that we kind of, as they said, the time has changed, and it's our job to make sure that not only we protect each other, but making sure that we do the best job we can with everybody we serve. So on that note, I do want to thank them all, and please give them a round of applause, even though we can't see you. We did this in a webinar format because we wanted to record their presentation. So in regards to the first part of the presentation that you heard, we will be able to access that through our website. So if you have parents, community members, vendor providers that weren't able to attend, they'll be able to listen to that first part of the presentation as well. And then any information that we have here, we will definitely disseminate with you all as community members, because we did see in the chat that they were very interested in the stickers and a lot of the information that was shared today. Most importantly, I think the fact is that we are continue to work in partnership with our first responders, and we will continue to do that moving forward. So again, please give them a round of applause for their time, honestly, because as we're well aware, they're here to not only keep us safe, but to protect our entire catchment area, our county, and they do amazing things. So thank you from the bottom of our hearts for being here today.